Have you ever faced a situation that felt so overwhelming that it seemed impossible to endure? Moments where everything around you is crumbling and you don't know how to stay strong. Today, we're going to uncover the hidden power within you that allows you to rise no matter what life throws at you. When life presses against you with force, the natural instinct is to react. It's almost automatic. Something unexpected happens, and the body contracts, the heart races, the mind begins to spiral, and before you even realize it, you are carried away by fear, anger, or frustration. This is the survival state. This is the old programming of the mind and body working together to keep you locked in the cycle of reaction. And in that moment, you are no longer choosing your life. You are being run by it. Reaction means giving your power away to the external world. It means allowing the circumstance, the challenge, or the person standing before you to dictate how you feel inside. If they speak harshly, you feel hurt. If the situation seems unfair, you feel angry. If the future looks uncertain, you feel afraid. This is how most people live, tethered to the external, letting conditions control the inner state. And yet, if strength is what we seek, we cannot live as victims of reaction. We must step into creation. Creation begins when you pause. The pause is sacred because it interrupts the unconscious pattern of reaction. In that stillness, you ask yourself, what energy do I want to bring into this moment? What part of myself do I want to express? Instead of anger, maybe you choose patience. Instead of fear, you choose courage. Instead of despair, you choose determination. And suddenly, you are no longer at the mercy of the storm. You are creating your response. This shift is the essence of strength. Imagine two people facing the same situation. One loses their job unexpectedly, the other too. The first collapses in despair, repeating the story of defeat. Why me? Life is unfair. I'll never recover. The second, after the initial shock, takes a deep breath, centers themselves, and says, "This is not the end. This is a doorway. This is life's way of redirecting me towards something greater." Both face the same circumstance. Yet one is trapped in reaction while the other steps into creation. And the difference lies not in the situation, but in the choice of consciousness. When you shift into creation, you reclaim control over the only thing you ever truly have, your inner state. Strength is not found in bending the world to your will. It is found in mastering the self. Creation means deciding ahead of time who you will be, no matter what the external world presents. This is not denial of reality, but mastery of perception. Life may strike you, but your response determines whether you grow weaker or stronger. Think about the last time you reacted without awareness. Perhaps someone said something that triggered an old wound, and before you could think, you lashed out, or shut down, or carried the hurt with you for hours. That reaction wasn't strength, it was an automatic program running through the body and mind. But picture what happens if, in that same moment, you stop, you take a breath, you refuse to let the situation dictate your inner world. You ask yourself, who do I choose to be right now? That small shift is creation, and in that creation, you step into strength. Creation requires awareness. You must become conscious of your patterns, your triggers, and the emotions that arise within you. Without awareness, you live in the past, repeating the same cycles again and again, reacting in the same ways to the same types of situations. But with awareness, you break free from the program. You notice the impulse to react, and you choose differently. That choice is freedom. That choice is strength. There is a powerful truth here: circumstances do not define you. They reveal you. They show you whether you are still a prisoner of reaction or whether have become a creator of your inner reality. The storm outside is neutral until you give it meaning. Your interpretation, your perspective, your chosen state, those are what transform chaos into opportunity, challenge into growth, and pain into resilience. Strength is not about avoiding the difficulties of life. You will face loss, disappointment, uncertainty, and even betrayal. These things are part of being human. Strength is about how you meet them. If you meet them with reaction, you spiral into survival, stuck in the same patterns that keep you small. But if you meet them with creation, you rise above them, shaping your state and transforming the meaning of the experience. Creation also requires vision. You must know what kind of person you want to become. If you decide that you want to be calm under pressure, then every difficult moment becomes a training ground. If you decide you want to embody courage, then every fearful situation becomes an invitation to practice. You stop seeing challenges as obstacles and start seeing them as opportunities to align with your vision. In this way, life stops happening to you and begins happening for you. Over time, as you practice creation, you build new neural pathways in the brain and new responses in the body. What once triggered you no longer holds the same power. You feel the old emotions rising, but instead of being swept away, you anchor yourself in awareness and choose differently. This is how you rewire yourself. This is how strength is cultivated. Not in one moment of triumph, but in the countless choices to create instead of react. When you stand in creation, you begin to live from the inside out, no longer depending on external conditions for your strength. People may doubt you, situations may challenge you, the future may appear uncertain, but you are no longer shaken, because strength has become who you are, not something you try to find in the moment. You become the source of stability, the one who brings calm into chaos, the one who creates light in darkness. And it all begins with that single, powerful shift from reaction to creation. The most powerful voice in your life is not the voice of the world, not the critics, not the people around you. It is the voice that whispers inside your own mind. That voice shapes your reality more than any external event ever could. When situations become heavy and the world feels overwhelming, it is the inner dialogue that either becomes the chain that pulls you down or the key that unlocks your strength. Most people underestimate this simple truth. The way you speak to yourself is the foundation of how strong you will stand in the face of any situation. When challenges arise, the inner voice often becomes the echo of old fears and wounds. It reminds you of every past failure, every disappointment, every moment you felt small. It says things like, "You are not enough. You will not make it. This is too hard." And without awareness, you believe it. You repeat it. You live it. That inner dialogue becomes your reality, and suddenly, the obstacle is not the circumstance outside of you, but the conversation happening within you. The first step in mastering inner dialogue is noticing it. Most people walk through life unconscious of the words they constantly speak to themselves. They wake up repeating the same thoughts, carrying the same judgments, reinforcing the same limitations. The mind becomes a loop, a pattern of self-talk that was written long ago by fear, by conditioning, by pain. If you want to stay strong in any situation, you must interrupt that loop. You must become the observer of the voice and ask, is this the language of weakness or the language of strength? Is this the voice of limitation or the voice of possibility? Strength begins with awareness, but it grows through choice. When you hear the voice of fear say, "I can't," you have the opportunity to respond with, "I will try." When the voice of doubt whispers, "I am not enough," you have the power to declare, "I am more capable than I realize." The words you speak to yourself create a chemical reaction in your body, shifting your energy, influencing your emotions, and directing your actions. Every phrase is like a command to your nervous system, telling it how to respond. If you constantly command weakness, you will live weak. If you consistently command strength, you will live strong. Consider the difference between a person who faces difficulty and says internally, "This is impossible, I can't handle it," versus the person who says, "This will be challenging, but I will find a way." Both individuals face the same reality, yet one collapses under the weight of their own words, while the other finds strength through self-encouragement. The dialogue does not erase the difficulty, but it transforms the way they meet it. Mastering inner dialogue requires practice because the old voice does not disappear overnight. It has been rehearsed for years, sometimes decades. But every time you catch it and replace it, you are rewiring your brain. You are creating new pathways that allow strength to become your natural response. The more you practice speaking to yourself in empowering ways, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, when challenges come, the old voice grows quieter, and the new voice, the voice of resilience, courage, and determination, takes its place. Think about how you speak to others you love. You encourage them. You remind them of their worth. You speak with kindness and belief. Yet when it comes to yourself, often the voice is harsher, more critical, less forgiving. Mastering your inner dialogue means turning that same compassion and belief inward. It means choosing to become your own ally instead of your own enemy. When the world outside feels unstable, you cannot afford to have an unstable voice within. Your inner dialogue must become your anchor, the one place where strength is spoken into existence again and again. There will be moments when your inner dialogue is tested more than ever. In the silence of the night, when fear creeps in the middle of failure, when doubt screams louder, in the face of rejection, when the old voice of unworthiness rises. These are the moments where mastery is forged. If you can hold your ground and remind yourself of who you are, if you can consciously choose words that align with your vision rather than your fear, you create strength in the very places where weakness once lived. Inner dialogue is not just about words, it is about identity. Every phrase you repeat to yourself shapes the story you live in. If you tell yourself daily, "I am broken, I am weak, I am not capable," you create an identity that matches those beliefs. But if you decide to affirm, "I am resilient, I am powerful, I am growing through this," you create an identity rooted in strength. Over time, those words become truth, not because the world outside changes, but because you have changed. The mastery of inner dialogue is the mastery of focus. Whatever words you repeat, your mind will search to confirm. If you tell yourself you are incapable, your mind will find reasons and evidence to prove it. If you tell yourself you are capable, your mind will find opportunities to demonstrate it. Your inner dialogue programs your perception, and your perception determines your experience of reality. Strength, therefore, is not found in the situation. It is found in the story you tell yourself about the situation. Every great transformation begins within, with the language you choose to embody. The storms of life are inevitable, but the way you speak to yourself during those storms will determine whether you are drowned by the waves or whether you rise above them. This is why mastering the inner dialogue is not optional, it is essential. Because in every moment, you are either tearing yourself down with words or building yourself up with them. And that choice decides how strong you truly stand. The greatest weight most people carry is not the challenge of this very moment, but the burden of the past and the fear of the future. We spend so much time reliving memories that hurt us or rehearsing outcomes that have not even happened, that we forget the only place strength actually exists, the present. When you are trapped in the past, you are replaying old wounds. When you are consumed by the future, you are projecting fear and uncertainty. But when you bring your awareness into the now, into this breath, into this very second, you tap into a power that nothing outside of you can take away. The present moment is where life happens. It is where your body exists, where your choices are made, where your future is created. And yet, how often do we miss it? The mind is a wanderer, and left unchecked, it drags us back into yesterday's regrets or pushes us into tomorrow's anxieties. You may be physically here, but mentally you are miles away, locked inside a memory or an imagined outcome. That is why so many feel weak in the face of challenges, not because they lack strength, but because they are never actually anchored in the only place strength can be accessed. To anchor yourself in the present moment is to stop giving power to illusions. The past no longer exists except as a memory in your mind. The future does not yet exist except as a possibility. What is real, what is alive, what is within your grasp is only here, right now. This is not about ignoring the lessons of the past or refusing to plan for the future. It is about refusing to let them dominate your inner world. The past can inform you. The future can guide you, but only the present can empower you. When you feel overwhelmed, when fear begins to rise, the first practice is to return to your body. Notice your breath. Feel your heartbeat. Ground yourself in the awareness that, in this very moment, you are safe. The storm may be outside, the uncertainty may be looming. But here, right now, you are alive, and in aliveness there is possibility. The simple act of becoming present interrupts the spiral of fear and brings you back to a state of clarity. Think about how much of your suffering has nothing to do with what is happening right now. Much of it is mental time travel. You replay what someone said to you years ago, and it still hurts because you carry it here. You imagine what might go wrong tomorrow, and it drains you even though it hasn't happened. The mind is powerful, but it can also be your greatest thief, robbing you of the strength that is available in the now. Anchoring yourself in the present is reclaiming that power. In the present moment, fear cannot survive. Fear needs a story about the past or a projection into the future to exist. In the now, there is only what is. Strength grows when you are fully here, when you can meet reality as it is instead of through the lens of old pain or imagined catastrophe. This is why the most resilient people have a calm presence about them. It is not that their lives are free of challenges. It is that they have trained themselves to stay rooted in the now, where the mind is quiet and the body is centered. Anchoring yourself in the present also shifts your perception of challenges. Instead of seeing them as overwhelming mountains, you experience them step by step. You don't have to carry the entire weight of the future in one moment. You only have to take the next breath, the next step, the next choice. When you live in the now, life becomes manageable. When you live in the past or the future, life feels unbearable. Strength, then, is not about holding the whole journey. It is about showing up fully to the step you are taking right now. The present moment is also where transformation occurs. You cannot change the past. It has already been lived. You cannot act in the future. It has not yet arrived. Change only happens when you align your thoughts, emotions, and actions in the now. This is where you rewrite patterns, where you choose differently, where you build the foundation of resilience. By anchoring yourself in the present, you place yourself in the only position where true creation is possible. There is a freedom that comes when you stop being enslaved to time. The past no longer chains you with guilt or regret. The future no longer torments you with fear or doubt. You live with a lightness, a clarity, a presence that gives you strength in every situation. And in this state, even the most difficult challenges become opportunities to deepen your awareness and to connect more fully with the essence of who you are. To anchor yourself in the present moment is not something you do once. It is a practice. It is choosing again and again to return to the now, to breathe, to notice, to realign. Each time you do, you train your mind and body to stay here. Each time you do, you weaken the grip of the past and the pull of the future. Over time, the present becomes your home, and in that home, you discover that strength was never outside of you. It was always here, waiting for you to notice it, waiting for you to live in it, waiting for you to become one with it. Strength is not just a matter of thought. You cannot simply repeat to yourself, "I am strong," while feeling fear and expect transformation to happen. The mind and body must work together. The thoughts you think and the emotions you embody create the state you live in, and that state shapes how you respond to life. If you want to stay strong in any situation, you must learn to rewire your inner world by aligning clear intention with elevated emotion. This union is where true resilience is born. Most people live in cycles of unconscious programming. They wake up and immediately recall the stress of yesterday. They feel the weight of their problems before the day even begins, and, without realizing it, they are recreating the same emotional state over and over again. The body remembers the emotions of fear, worry, and anger, and the mind generates the thoughts that match those feelings. This cycle becomes a prison. No matter what happens outside, the inside is already conditioned to respond the same way. To rewire yourself is to break free from that cycle. It means you stop letting the body dictate your mind, and instead, you let your mind and heart direct your body. Intention is the starting point. Intention is clarity of thought, the decision of who you choose to be and what you choose to embody. It is when you declare within yourself, "In this situation, I will not be ruled by fear. I will not collapse into anger. I will embody courage. I will embody peace. I will embody love." But intention alone is not enough. If the emotion does not match the thought, the body remains unconvinced. This is why emotion is the fuel. When you feel gratitude, courage, or compassion deeply, your body begins to align with your intention. Your chemistry shifts, your nervous system calms, your heart rate steadies, your energy expands. Suddenly, you are no longer just thinking about being strong. You are experiencing strength. And because you are experiencing it, you are rewiring yourself at the deepest level. Imagine a moment of difficulty when everything in you wants to default to fear. You pause and set the intention, "I choose courage." Then you breathe and generate the feeling of courage, maybe by remembering a time you overcame something before, or by visualizing yourself rising beyond the current challenge. As you hold that emotion, your body begins to believe it. It no longer distinguishes between imagination and reality. It simply responds to the state you create. This is how you train your nervous system to embody resilience. The mind is a powerful instrument, but without emotion, its instructions fall flat. You can think positive thoughts all day, but if your body is flooded with stress hormones, you will still feel weak. On the other hand, if you learn to combine elevated emotion with clear intention, you shift your entire state of being. This alignment not only strengthens you in the moment, but also rewires the patterns of your brain and body over time. Strength becomes more than a thought. It becomes your natural response. Think about how most people reinforce weakness. They think thoughts of worry and feel emotions of fear. They set the intention, often unconsciously, to survive rather than thrive, and their body aligns with that intention through stress, anxiety, and tension. Every day they rehearse weakness, and every day it becomes more automatic. But the same mechanism can be used in reverse. By rehearsing strength, by intentionally generating emotions of courage, love, and gratitude, you are teaching your body a new way of being. You are rehearsing resilience until it becomes second nature. This is not about denying difficult emotions. Fear, sadness, and anger are part of being human, but strength comes from not letting those emotions dominate your inner world. It is about feeling them, acknowledging them, and then choosing to elevate yourself into a new state through intention and emotion. You do not pretend the storm does not exist. You decide how you will stand within it. Rewiring the mind through emotion and intention also expands your vision of possibility. When you are locked in survival emotions, your perception narrows. You see only the problem, the obstacle, the threat. But when you elevate your emotions, your perception widens. You begin to see opportunities, solutions, and pathways that were invisible before. Your mind opens, your creativity awakens, and suddenly you have access to strength that you could not find when you were trapped in fear. Over time, this practice creates lasting change. Each time you align thought and emotion, you strengthen new neural pathways in the brain. Each time you embody your intention with feeling, you condition your body to live in that elevated state. What once felt unnatural, gratitude in the face of hardship, courage in the face of fear, becomes familiar. And what was once familiar, panic, worry, anger, becomes foreign. This is the process of becoming strong from the inside out. When you truly understand that your thoughts and emotions create your state of being, you stop waiting for life to change before you feel strong. You realize that strength is not a gift handed to you by circumstance. It is a choice you make and a state you create. The more you practice, the less you depend on external conditions to feel powerful. You become the source of your own resilience because your strength no longer relies on what happens around you, but on what you generate within you. To rewire your mind through emotion and intention is to step into mastery. It is to stop living by old programs of fear and to start living by new programs of courage, compassion, and clarity. It is to recognize that strength is not something you wait for. It is something you cultivate, something you embody, something you choose again and again until it becomes who you are. When life confronts you with difficulty, the natural tendency is to shrink into the problem, to become entangled with it until you can no longer see beyond it. The mind begins to circle around the situation, magnifying it, replaying it, giving it more power than it deserves. In those moments, you forget that you are more than the challenge in front of you. You forget that you are not the problem. You are the awareness that perceives it. To stay strong in any situation, you must learn to expand beyond the situation itself. The situation is not you. The situation is temporary, but the essence of who you are is not. Circumstances shift, seasons change, people come and go, but there is something constant within you that is untouched by these fluctuations. That inner presence, that awareness, is the space in which all experiences unfold. When you identify yourself with the situation, you limit yourself to its boundaries. But when you expand your perspective and remember that you are the consciousness observing it, you transcend its power. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. If your entire attention is fixed on the rain and the thunder, you feel overwhelmed, small, powerless. But if you shift your perspective and realize you are the sky itself, vast and unbroken, then the storm becomes something moving through you rather than something defining you. The storm still exists, but it no longer consumes your identity. This shift in perception is the difference between collapsing under life's weight and rising with unshakable strength. Expanding beyond the situation requires detachment, not in the sense of ignoring or denying reality, but in the sense of refusing to let it define you. You can acknowledge the challenge without becoming it. You can face the loss without letting it tell the story of who you are. You can feel the uncertainty without reducing yourself to fear. Strength comes when you hold the situation in your awareness without letting it consume the entirety of your being. Most people live as if they are only their thoughts, their emotions, their problems. They say, "I am stressed, I am broken, I am defeated." But stress is not who you are. Brokenness is not who you are. Defeat is not who you are. These are experiences passing through you like clouds across the sky. You are the one observing. You are the one choosing. You are the one capable of stepping back and remembering that no situation is bigger than the awareness that contains it. When you expand beyond the situation, you access a deeper intelligence within you. From a limited perspective, the problem looks unsolvable, the pain feels unbearable. But when you shift into the awareness beyond it, you see new possibilities. You realize that what you thought was the end may actually be a beginning. What you thought was punishment may actually be preparation. The expansion of perspective transforms struggle into growth, chaos into clarity, and pain into wisdom. Think of the times in your life when you believed you could not endure, and yet you did. Looking back, you see that the situation, as heavy as it felt, was not the entirety of your being. You were more than the heartbreak, more than the failure, more than the disappointment. You carried on. You learned. You became someone greater. This is the proof that you are larger than any situation. The storm passes, but you remain. The challenge shifts, but you endure. To expand beyond the situation is also to recognize that your energy shapes your reality. If you shrink into fear, the problem grows larger in your perception. If you rise into strength, the problem loses its grip on you. The external circumstance may not immediately change, but your relationship to it does. And that changes everything. By expanding your awareness, you create space inside yourself. In that space, fear dissolves, clarity emerges, and resilience is born. This expansion is not abstract. It is a practice. It happens when you take a step back from your racing thoughts and simply observe them. It happens when you remind yourself, I am not these emotions. I am the one experiencing them. It happens when you shift your focus from what is collapsing to what is still whole, from what is lost to what remains, from what feels impossible to what might be possible if you only saw differently. Each time you expand, you loosen the grip of the situation and strengthen the presence within you. Over time, this practice builds unshakable resilience. You stop being defined by what happens to you, and instead, you begin to live from the awareness of who you truly are. You see that strength is not about controlling every detail of life, but about remembering that no detail, no situation, no storm can ever define the vastness of your being. When you expand beyond the situation, you realize that you are not here to be crushed by life, but to rise through it, to awaken within it, to become more because of it. You said, write a conclusion of entire script, ChatGPT said. Here's a powerful conclusion that ties together all 5 keynotes into one flowing ending for the speech. Written in the same motivational and reflective style, without breaking into bullets or lists. Life will always present situations that test us, moments that shake the foundation of who we believe we are. But the strength to endure and to rise is never found in the outside world. It is cultivated within. When you choose creation over reaction, you take back your power. When you master your inner dialogue, you build a foundation that no storm can wash away. When you anchor yourself in the present, you step out of fear and into clarity. When you align intention with elevated emotion, you rewire your mind and body to embody resilience. And when you expand beyond the situation, you remember that no challenge is greater than the awareness that holds it. Strength is not something you wait for, nor is it something given to you by chance. It is a decision, a practice, a way of being. Every challenge is an invitation to awaken it, every difficulty an opportunity to embody it, every moment a chance to choose it. The storms of life will come, but within you there is a power untouched by circumstance, a presence that cannot be broken, a strength that has been waiting for you to recognize it and live from it fully